Hello, this is Rhoda's Writing Corner. My name's Rhoda Detour. I'm a published author and also the co-founder of Connections e-magazine, which you can get online for free. If you're an author, you can put in ads, give your free promotions away, do giveaways, put in free chapters of books to try to gain readers, because Connections magazine is all about connecting authors with readers. It's free to readers and it's free to authors. So look us up either on Facebook, or if you go to my website, there is a page for that. But today what we're here to talk about is reviews. The good, the bad, and the ugly. What makes a book get reviews that makes people go? And what do you do when you get a review that makes you feel like somebody's going? Well, let's talk about review to begin with. A review is just somebody's opinion, and that's what some of these authors don't understand. As a reader, I never ever looked at reviews, and I never wrote reviews. And the whole reason was because I don't know these people. How do I know if this person's a complete moron on the other end of this review? What makes me know whether or not they have a brain in their head? And I'm not trying to disrespect the people that have written me good reviews. What I'm saying is you cannot just base your opinion and whether or not you're going to buy something based on somebody that you don't even know. Most of us, we trust our friends, we trust our families. But I got news for you. My sister Gabby, she absolutely loves the movie Sling Blade. She basically said it was one of the best movies ever written. I watched this movie on fast forward, got to the end when finally something happened. Guess what? The credits rolled. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So people's tastes are so much different that good reviews are great and everybody wants them. And yes, they can get other people to buy your product, and it gives you credibility as an author. But, if you get a bad review, number one, it might not be as bad as you think. And number two, it's just one person's opinion as to what they like in a book. Something else that authors seem to have a problem understanding is that you're publishing a product and people want a quality product. And if somebody paid $3 for your book and they don't like it, they have the right to go and say, I don't like this. Just the same way that somebody can say, I didn't like the hamburger I got from McDonald's yesterday. They paid for it. They didn't like it. They paid for your book. They didn't like it. It's not the end of the world. It's that one person's opinion. If you have a really bad book and everybody's basically saying that your book sucks, well, guess what? Then your book probably sucks, and maybe you should think about getting another editor, or maybe putting in some twists, or you just go back and you make adjustments. Sometimes really bad reviews are going to sting. They're going to hurt. Absolutely. The other thing is that everybody uses a different guideline as to how they review a book. For example, I have a 3-star review where the person basically says this is a great book and I can't wait to read more. But yet it's 3 stars. And in Amazon, 3 stars is it's okay. Goodreads rating, the 3-star is this is good. So sometimes people don't understand the ratings. The other thing is that there are some people that are just really tough reviewers. It's going to take them a lot to give you a 4 or 5-star review. Whereas other people, they might not nitpick your book. They might not care about a misplaced comma or an accidental end quote that was left off for some kind of a typo. Personally, I need to have a story. If the story's great, I don't even care what the grammar looks like or the typos. I can just read right over that. But there are other people that they get distracted by those type of things. Or if there's certain things they want in a book, even with the storyline. I had one blogger. Now, I paid $300 to go on a blog tour, and I did get a couple reviews from it, but I got no sales. One of the bloggers, and she promoted me for like the whole week, and then when she actually read my book, she actually wrote that it was the only book that she's ever read that she couldn't finish. She thought it was shocking. She didn't want, the title of the book was Tower of Tears. I had sort of put in this desire for one of the characters of another character, and then I knew that I wasn't going to go anywhere with that relationship. But this person that was reading this book, she basically wanted it to turn into a romance novel, and that's not what my writing's about. She got upset and she didn't like it, so she shut the book, and she did make a couple points that maybe I could have done this or that with the book. And those are legitimate and it's good feedback. But you know what happened? Even with that bad review from her, when she tweeted it and she put it on Facebook, she kept saying, "This is shocking. I couldn't finish it because it shocked me." My sales like tripled that week because people wanted to know what was so shocking about this book. This lady had to stop reading it. And it causes a little bit of controversy and it causes a little bit of buzz with your book. So you never know what a bad review is going to do. Like I said, a bad review is just one person's opinion. Now let's get into the ugly part. Believe it or not, there really are some trolls out there. There are some authors or some vicious people in an author's personal life that will go and put a bad review. I've seen it. I had one happen to me. The only 1-star review that I have on Tower of Tears on Amazon, on any of my books on Amazon, is on Tower of Tears. And it's from a woman that is actually another author and she uses different aliases. I actually found out that this woman she pled guilty and was convicted of fraud from running a national scam. If you come across this woman, run. She has 5 or 6 different aliases. I keep finding new aliases that she keeps wind up using, and she had put together a nonprofit organization and then was using the nonprofit to sell her books, while at the same time she was actually using the nonprofit to get people to buy community service certificates from her so that they could then go to the court and say, "I did this community service." Basically, the community service was like $100 or $150 plus buy my book, and then she gave them a certificate that they would take to the court, and they didn't actually do community service. So it turned into a situation like that. Well, this woman, the way I met her was that she kept writing to me saying, "I have a book, review it for free, and I'll give you a 5-star review that I'll put on my 5,000 friends list, and I'll put it all over the place." The first time I said to her, "How are you going to give me a 5-star review? What do you mean? I don't want a 5-star review. Of course I want them, but I want them to be legit." And she says to me, "Well, no, I'll tell you what. I'll write the review of my book, you write the review of your book, and then we'll swap them so you post it under your name, but it's the review I wrote for my own book." So naturally I hit the block button and I tried to avoid this lady. Well, she kept coming after me and kept coming after me. She was using all different aliases, and it's just crazy. Then it turned into something where she was saying, "Well, I'll give you a free audiobook if you review my book." And what she was really doing was trying to get people to sign up for a subscription service through Audibles, where the person would get a free audiobook if they signed up for a $15 a month subscription. Well, if the person wants it, that's not a bad idea for the audiobook lover. However, unless you actually publish your audiobooks with Audible.com, as I do, you wouldn't know that the first book that somebody buys on Audible.com, which is an Amazon company, the first book that somebody buys and they actually sign up with that service, that author gets a $50 bonus. So what she was trying to do was she was trying to manipulate and harass the authors into giving her reviews, while at the same time tricking them to sign up for a $15 monthly service that each time they did that, it would wind up giving her $50 for each sign up. I kid you not, this is how things work. When I called this woman out in one of the groups that had like 20 or 30,000 people in it, she started screaming at me. She put on a 1-star review, and I know she didn't read the book. I wound up going and checking her out. It wound up being the person that's related to the other books that I had already known about. I know that 1 star is from her, but it's still, does it make my book look bad? Sure. She's trying to manipulate the system. She's trying to make my book look worse. And then she sent me a cease and desist letter stating that I said something bad about her. Well, the truth of the matter is, it's not slander and it's not libel, because it's true. If she was going to take me to court, she'd have to prove that what I said was a lie. And since it's on the internet that she was convicted in court, it's not a lie. So these are the kinds of things that go on when you're dealing with crazy people online and people you don't know. So you can't always trust reviews. The good ones you can't always trust. You can't always trust the bad ones. When you're looking for reviews, make sure that you read reviews and see what it is they're talking about. When I write a review, I usually try to put what I liked, what I didn't like, and whether or not I would recommend this book. A lot of times, I'm not somebody who likes details. I have an imagination. If the author writes too much details for me, I'm offended as a reader because it makes me feel like they think I'm too stupid to know what red curtains look like. This is one of the reasons why I don't read Stephen King anymore. I don't need 50 pages written about the setting, because by the time I get through those 50 pages, I forget what the conversation was about, and I have to go back through those 50 pages to go find what the conversation and the action that happened before that setting, and then I have to figure it back out. So to me, that distracts me and it interrupts my reading enjoyment. However, there are other people, they need those details. So there are different styles of readers, just like there are different styles of writers. So don't get offended or upset if somebody doesn't like your writing style, because most likely if you read their book, you're not going to like theirs. And that's okay. There's nothing etched in stone that says that everything has to be appreciated. I mean, this is like a tough market. It's a tough thing to do, and I know that we all put our hearts and souls into this. We put a lot of money and marketing time into this. People think, oh, well, they're going to love me. Not everybody's going to love you. Can everybody appreciate you wrote a book? Sure. Then another thing is that there are some of those reviewers out there that want to nitpick about things, and yet guess what? They couldn't write a book even if they tried. They couldn't format it. They couldn't design a cover. They couldn't figure out how to publish it. So how much is their opinion really worth? Another thing that I have a problem with is authors that want to sit here and fight with the reviewers. There is an author, and I won't say who he is, but I see him in a lot of groups, and the first thing he does when he gets a review is he'll go back and comment to try to break down and destroy the reviewer's argument. The problem with that is that, number one, this particular author with this one particular review, he actually submitted the book to a blog that said on there, I only provide honest reviews. That's her honest opinion. So if you go on a rampage about how her opinion's worthless and she doesn't know anything, then guess what? You're making yourself look like an idiot. You ask somebody for their opinion, and then when they give it, now you're not satisfied. So really, why are you doing this? Why did you bother? What, you're only going to appreciate the good reviews, the rave reviews? There are lots of things that authors can learn from reviews, and I've gotten a few. There was one woman who wrote to me and said, I was going to buy your ebook. I read the first 10% in the free Kindle sample, and I think you're a really talented author. But when I went to the free sample of the paperback, I didn't like where you placed your chapter headings and your page numbers. So I'm not going to buy your book. But good luck in the future sales and future books. And I was thinking, you got to be kidding me. She was concerned about page numbers and chapter headings on the paperback, but she wasn't buying the paperback. She was buying the Kindle. Kindle doesn't have page numbers or headers or footers, so none of that really matters. So this really confused me. And then after I went back and I looked at what she had to say, I realized that yes, for my genre, my paperback didn't look exactly the way it could have been with the headings in certain spots and the header in certain spots. So I wound up going back and I did make changes, and people thought it looked more professional and that it was better formatted. I still to this day don't understand how what a paperback looks like could affect a reader's intention to buy an ebook. But at the same time, I also learned that there are specifics like that some readers really look into. They really notice. Take the feedback from what you see and do not argue with the readers. Do not. I'm telling you, that one guy, he has like 300 comments of him and readers and bloggers going back and forth under his one review. And it was a 3-star review. It was not like a 1-star or a 2-star. It was a 3-star where the woman listed all the different things that she felt she liked and didn't like. And she was partial. I mean, if you say that you would have liked more of a backstory of the characters, that's what she wanted. That's what she would have liked. She thinks that it would have created a better reading experience for her. The author has no right to say, oh, well, you're wrong. And the other thing is that I think that some authors think that reviews are feedback for the authors. Reviews are not feedback for authors. Reviews are feedback for potential customers, for potential readers of your book. That's what it is. They are a way for somebody who paid for your book, paid for a product, to express their personal opinion. I try not to comment on reviews because I almost feel like it's me violating the reader-reviewer space a little bit. I usually only bother to comment if they ask me a question. I did have a couple reviews that thought the Tower of Tears was a little too harsh with the Catholic Church. When I read the review, I sort of took it that the woman was trying to say that I was bashing the church. So I did, and in that same review, she also commented that she wanted to know where book 2 was because I never changed the back matter in the back of the book, which was my fault. I admit it. So the release date had been wrong in the back of the ebook that she had gotten, and she wanted to know where book 2 was. So I did respond to her. I did comment on that particular review, and I explained that I am Catholic and I did the research on the Catholic Church at the time, and I tried to make it look as though some priests were sympathetic to a situation but their hands were tied and others were more stringent. I don't have anything against the Catholic Church. I'm a Catholic. The other thing was that I wanted to address the issue with book 2 of the series, because originally I had planned to have it out and then a publisher wanted to take it. Then there was a problem with the publisher, and so now book 2 is coming out probably in a few months. I just wanted to let her know, and then I also turned around and offered her a couple free books because guess what? If she liked the first one that much that she wanted to read more of my books, I just created a customer for life just by trying to turn something that was a negative into a positive rather than making more and more negatives. Because I'm going to tell you, that author that argues with his reviewers, I will not even be in a Facebook group with him. I won't be in an advertising group with him. I don't want to be anywhere near him, and let alone ever buy one of his books. I will never do it. I did buy one of his books before I realized what this man was about, and I still to this day will not review it. I still haven't read it, and it looks interesting to me, but just the way he acted, there are so many more authors, there are so many more stories out there. Why bother the ones that are just going to wreak havoc and cause problems? And not only that, but it looks extremely unprofessional. When you have all these authors that want to respond to reviewers and say, well, you're wrong. No, you shouldn't feel that way about my book. Well, guess what? That makes the author look bad. It makes the rest of the self-publishers look bad. It leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And with that one particular man, readers were actually writing in saying, I follow this woman's blog. I came to this book as a reader of hers, and I was interested in the book until I read your comments. The review she posted was not bad in my opinion. It still made me want to read the book. It was his actions that turned potential readers away. You don't want to do that. You also don't want to go buying reviews because sometimes it's really obvious when you see that, there are some reviews that say the same exact thing over and over and over. Another issue is that I've seen authors that will reply back and say, you don't have a verified purchase on your review, so you're a troll. Well, no, that's not true. Because guess what? When somebody borrows with Kindle Unlimited or the lending library, it does not come up as a verified purchase. Let me see. I pay $9 a month for my Kindle Unlimited. I go and I read your book. Now Amazon's paying the authors per page. So say I read a 300-page book, and you're going to get paid for it regardless of what my review says. Then you come back and you tell me, no, I'm a liar. I didn't read your book. That makes you look like an idiot. And guess what? Even if I thought your book was okay and I was going to give another book a different chance because maybe I just didn't like that plot or I couldn't stand the one character, you just lost the potential of a reader for me because you called me a liar, number one, and you told me that my opinion doesn't count, number two. I think that you have to try to distance yourself, which is really hard. People want reviewers to try to be caring. Why? They don't know you. They're not your brother, your sister, your boyfriend, your wife. They're people that bought your book, and they don't have any obligation to you and what they're writing isn't even for you. Of course we all want reviews. Of course we want those emails that say, wow, I couldn't put this book down. Guess what? The only way to do that is to write a really great story. It's the only way to do it. And you should wind up getting a really good editor, which is hard to find. Good editors online are hard to find. So the best thing you can do is look in books that you really like. Read the books and find out who edited this book that you think is a good reading style. And then go back and look at the free samples of some of the other books they've edited. And wow, guess what? You might have found your editor. And I've said it before, and I have it on my website, Xterra Web Editing Services. Her name's Kelly Hartigan. You can see her on my website at www.roadadetour.com. That's RHODADETTORE.com. And you'll see her on the right hand side is Xterra Web, and it'll link back to her page. She's also on Facebook. She will give you a sample of 2,000 words to show you exactly what kind of feedback that she's willing to offer you and try to make your book the best that it can be. For my particular book, it was like $400, which really for the page count is a really good price for the word count. You can break it up into 2 different payments. You're going to pay a deposit, and then you're going to pay once the item is done, once the book is done. There are some places online that they want you to pay for $900 for editing, and they want it up front before it's done, and then when you get it back, it's horrible. They're editing all over. There's grammatical problems and punctuation problems and everything. So you really got to get recommendations from other people. So Xterra Web, I think, is one of the better ones out there, and she's economical, and she's willing to work with you. She's really easy to access. Again, the editing is subjective. So when it comes to a review, there are reviews on James Patterson. There are reviews on Nora Roberts. There are reviews on Danielle Steele that will say, I hate this book. This book sucks. The story sucks. It's the same old thing. The editing's bad. I got news for you. Every time I pick up a James Patterson novel, there's a the in it. I really almost thought it was like the proofreader's joke. Like 3 or 4 books I had all had the. That's something that I noticed, but it's not going to stop me from reading the book. And it's not going to cause me to go put a 1-star review on James Patterson or even an indie author. You can't take the reviews personally because they might be critical, but that doesn't make them professional either. There's one author that I really like. His name is Mike Wells. He's a crime author, a suspense author. He was on Forensics website of the top 50 authors to watch out for, along with some really big names like Patricia Cornwell. I've been talking to this guy, and I didn't realize that he's as big of an author as what he is. I was chit-chatting with him on Twitter and on Facebook and email and everything for months, because I was too wrapped up in selling my book. And then when I read his bio, I found out this guy was a professor for creative writing at Oxford University. That is a big deal. He is well schooled. He teaches the class. And even he has a couple negative reviews where the one made me laugh, where the reviewer actually said this guy needs to go back to school and go take some classes. And I was thinking, lady, you don't even realize he teaches the classes at one of the most prestigious schools in the world. Everybody's a critic and everybody has an opinion. Just try to make your book the best that it can be with the best story it can be. And if you get some feedback and you get some advice, try to stand back and take a critical look. It's really hard, but try to do it anyway. And then what you do is you come back to my site and you come and see me at roadadetour.com or check out Connections e-magazine. And I hope to see you guys there.